All right, let's get into it. We all hear about the classics: vampires, werewolves, zombies. They're practically celebrities at this point. But what if the really scary monsters, the ones that lurk in the absolute darkest corners of folklore, are the ones you've never even heard of?
I mean, think about it. What if you found yourself face to face with some creature whose story was never told where you grew up? You wouldn't have a clue what its weakness is, what it wants, or how to get away. That sounds like a pretty big problem, right?
Well, that's exactly what this is for. Consider this your crash course, your official briefing. We are about to arm you with the critical intel you need to survive some of the most horrifying, mythical creatures from all over the world. So, you're gonna want to pay attention. It might just save your life. Okay, our first stop takes us to Southeast Asia, which is home to a particularly nasty spirit. She's got a really tragic backstory and, well, a serious bone to pick with the living. Everybody meet the Pontianak. According to Malaysian and Indonesian folklore, she is the restless and incredibly vengeful spirit of a woman who died a horrible death while she was pregnant. And all that personal tragedy, it's curdled into a terrifying, all-consuming rage.
Now, the way a Pontianak hunts is just a masterclass in psychological terror. Picture this. You're walking alone at night. You smell something sweet, like frangipani flowers, and then you hear a baby crying. Out of the darkness, a beautiful woman appears. But as you get closer, that lovely smell turns absolutely foul. Her face twists, fangs sprout, and her nails sharpen into claws. And in a horrific act of revenge for the child she lost, she tears open your stomach to steal your organs. It's all a trap, and seduction is just the bait.
So how in the world do you survive this? Well, step one is just plain old common sense. Maybe don't follow the sound of a mysterious crying baby in the dark. But if you do get too close, the legends say to check her feet. Apparently they're a dead giveaway. And for the final, most wild survival tip, you have to get behind her and jam a sharp iron nail into the nape of her neck. This supposedly hits the reset button, making her totally docile. And this is where the myth gets truly bizarre. Some stories claim this actually turns her into the perfect wife. Well, at least until somebody pulls that nail out.
All right, let's pack our bags and head to a new continent for a totally different kind of threat. We're leaving the vengeful ghosts behind and going deep into the forests of West Africa to meet a creature that is nothing but pure, brutal, physical terror.
This is the Sasabonsam. I want you to imagine a gigantic vampiric monster that looks something like an ape and lives up in the trees. Oh, and here's the detail that should really set your hair on end. It has giant iron hooks for feet, and it uses them to hang from branches, just waiting.
See, the Sasabonsam is the ultimate ambush predator. It just hangs there, silently in the forest canopy, sometimes mimicking sounds it knows will draw you off the path. The second you're confused and vulnerable, it swings down, snatches you up, and pulls you into a death hug, so powerful it literally crushes your bones and organs. And it all happens so fast, you probably wouldn't even have time to scream before it starts to feed. Surviving this one is a bit more straightforward, but with a seriously dark twist. First, the obvious, safety in numbers. Don't go wandering in its forest alone. Second, some stories say it can't stand blessed charms, so that's an option. But the third and most unsettling so-called solution, deforestation. Yeah, because of widespread cocoa farming, the Sasabonsam's habitat is disappearing. It's a really chilling thought, isn't it? That we might be wiping out a monster just by destroying its home. Fewer trees means fewer places for it to hide. Not all monsters want to eat your organs or crush you in a death hug. Some of them are way more sinister. They're all about psychological horror, acting as terrible omens that your life is about to get very, very bad.
So let's look at two totally different spirits. On one side, from southern Slavic folklore, you have the Drekavac. It's the spirit of an unbaptized child. On the other side, we have a terrifying Japanese urban legend, the Teke, the ghost of a girl who was cut in half by a train. One is a psychological threat, the other is a brutally physical one. The Drekavac won't actually lay a finger on you. It doesn't have to. It's an omen. Just seeing its emaciated, childlike form or hearing its eardrum-shattering scream is enough to curse you, or maybe even your whole village, to some awful fate. It's basically a walking, screaming catastrophe. And then you've got the Teke, and honestly, this one is pure nightmare fuel. She drags her upper torso along the ground, making this awful Teke sound with her elbows or her nails.
If she catches up to you, she might ask that chilling question, "Where are my legs?" right before she pulls out a scythe and makes sure you end up just like her. And she is shockingly fast. Getting away is considered next to impossible.
For our final creature, we're heading to North America for something born from one of humanity's oldest taboos. This monster isn't just a creature, it's literally a cursed, insatiable appetite given physical form. This is the flying head. According to Iroquois folklore, these things are the cursed souls of people who committed terrible sins, especially cannibalism. As their punishment, they're doomed to just roam the earth as these giant, disembodied heads with bat-like wings and a hunger so powerful it can never, ever be satisfied. So, yeah, this thing is a real problem. It's huge, it's fast, and it can terrorize an entire village. But what's worse is that the legends all agree it's pretty much immortal. You can't stab it, you can't poison it, it's just a flying, indestructible engine of pure consumption. So what are you supposed to do? Really, when you're up against a giant, immortal, flying, man-eating skull? What could possibly be the answer? How could you even begin to fight back? The answer is so beautifully simple, so primitive. Its one and only weakness is fire. That's it. To defeat this near-immortal terror, you have to fight it with one of the oldest tools humanity ever discovered. There's something incredibly powerful about that, don't you think? So, we've gone through how to survive these terrifying creatures. But all of this brings up a much bigger question. Why do we tell these stories at all? What are they really for? And that quote really gets to the heart of it. These are cautionary tales. The Teke is a horrifying way to warn kids not to play on train tracks. The Sasabonsam is a terrifying story to keep them from wandering off alone into the woods. They aren't just scary stories for fun, they're extreme warnings designed to teach caution and protect the next generation. So, in the end, maybe the most fascinating thing about monsters isn't their claws or their fangs or how to defeat them. Maybe it's what they reflect back at us. They are the physical form of our greatest fears. Fear of loss, fear of the dark woods, fear of the consequences of our own terrible actions. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What do our monsters today say about the things we're most afraid of right now?